All right, let's talk about two words you hear all the time in finance: stock and share. They get thrown around a lot, often like they mean the exact same thing, but do they? Well, in this explainer, we're going to clear up this super common mix-up once and for all so you can sound like you know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to your investments. I mean, think about it for a second. You'll say, I own stock in that company, right? But then when you actually pull up your brokerage account to buy something, you're buying a certain number of shares. So what's the deal? Why these two different words for what feels like the same thing? Let's figure it out. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. Here's the thing. At their core, both stock and share, they're all about owning a piece of a company. And that's exactly why everyone gets them mixed up. But the devil's in the details, you know? And honestly, knowing when to use each one is what separates the beginners from the pros. So let's start big. First up is stock. The easiest way to get this right is to think of stock as the big picture. It's the whole idea, the general concept of owning a piece of a business, or maybe even a bunch of different businesses. Yeah, that word general is really the key here. Stock is the financial instrument, the asset itself. It's the thing that says you have a stake in a company's profits and all its stuff. It's the overall ownership interest. So, how does this sound in a real sentence? Well, you use stock when you're talking in broad terms. Like, I'm investing in the stock market. You're talking about the whole thing. Or maybe, I own stock in Apple. See? It's a general statement of ownership. And if you've got investments in a few different tech companies, you'd say your portfolio has a bunch of tech stocks. It's a collective word. Okay, so if stock is the big general concept of ownership, then how do we actually, measure it? How do we break it down? Well, that's exactly where the word share comes into play. Think of it as the unit of measurement. Bottom line, a share is the smallest possible piece of a company's stock. It's one single countable unit. So when you decide, hey, I want to invest in this company, what you're really buying is a specific number of these little units, these shares. And this is where being precise really matters. You'd never say, I bought 100 stocks of Apple. It just sounds wrong, right? No, the correct way is I bought 100 shares. We check the price per share, and when you sell, you're selling a certain number of shares. It's always about a specific, countable amount. Okay, let's just recap that really quick. Stock is the big, general idea of ownership. A share is one single, specific, countable piece of that ownership. If you remember nothing else, remember this. You can't really count stock, but you can always count shares. Now, if all this still feels a little bit conceptual, don't even worry about it, because I've got the perfect analogy that's going to lock this in for you. For real. Yep, you heard me. We're going to talk about pizza, because honestly, who doesn't get pizza? So, imagine you've got a whole pizza sitting in front of you. The stock is the entire pizza. It's the whole shebang. It represents the total ownership of the company, all in one big round pie. And a share, well, that's just a single slice. It's one piece of the whole pie. It's individual. It's countable. So when you go to buy shares, what you're doing is buying individual slices of that company's pizza. The more slices you have, the bigger your piece of the pie. See? It's that simple. All right, the pizza analogy is pretty solid, right? It makes it super easy to picture. But let's take that idea and apply it to a real-world investing example to see how it all plays out. So let's talk about Sarah. If we just say, Sarah owns stock in Microsoft, that's a general statement. It's like saying, Sarah has some of the Microsoft pizza. But when she actually goes and buys more, she's buying a specific number, like 10 times shares. She's adding 10 slices to her plate. Now, if she also owns a piece of Google, her portfolio has several different tech stocks. And finally, when we look up the price, we're looking at the share price. How much does one single slice cost today? Okay, we've covered a lot, the pizza, the examples. So what's the one thing you really need to remember? Let's just boil everything down to two super simple rules that you can take with you. Here you go, it's this easy. Rule number 1, use the word stock when you're talking about ownership in general, or when you're talking about multiple companies. And rule number 2, use the word share when you're talking about a specific, countable number of units in just one company. Seriously, just follow those two rules and you'll nail it every single time. So let me ask you a final question. What are you adding to your portfolio, stocks or shares? Well, it's a bit of a trick question, isn't it? The answer is both. You buy shares in order to build up your ownership of a company's stock.
Now you get it. And now you can go out there and talk about your investments like a total pro. Thanks for diving in with us.